Hi, welcome everybody to another session of Speakers Live. Today we will be talking about building and winning in business together with our parent company, Summit, co-founder and CEO, Terence Yao. He is also a investor and a mentor to a lot of startups, and he's also a serial entrepreneur. And if you so happen to be joining us live right now, type in hashtag live in the comment section. And if you happen to be joining us on the replay, type in hashtag replay. We would really love to know who is joining us through this session right now. And feel free to leave your questions in the comment section, and I may bring it up to Terence as well. So to give you a little bit of background about Terence basically he went through a very interesting journey, right? So he was expelled from high school, and not only that, he went on to a journey of entrepreneurship to really create a path for himself. He's been in, I believe, like the car racing industry or drifting industry. He's been in the seminar and events industry, and of course, as the co-founder of Summit and being in the seminar industry, he has been the man behind some of the biggest events in the region, like in Singapore, in Malaysia, filling up thousands and thousands into the room with zero advertising spend on it. Now, if you would be interested in learning how to do that, type in interested in the comments section, because that is absolutely amazing with his guerrilla marketing techniques. But he was also part of the team, who brought in Sir Richard Branson for the very first time into Vietnam for a 7,000 people event in Ho Chi Minh City. And his list of accolades just goes on and on. But today, his passion is to help entrepreneurs, help startups to really get a solid footing in business, to ensure that they have the solid foundations of success, so that they don't have to struggle the way he did in the past. So without further ado, let's bring up Mr. Terence Yao.
Hi, Ching Yu. What's up? How's it going? Yeah. Hi.
What's up? Yeah. So my intro, okay. That was shared by your partner and co-founder, John Chong.
But, I'm surprised you didn't add in like more dark secrets or stuff like that. But yeah, like I mentioned, I got to pardon me first. I do sound really crappy because I'm just recovering from a bad fever. Thank goodness, thank God, it's not COVID yet. So I do sound like I'm struggling to speak right now. But that's just nothing wrong with your audio. That's just me, right? So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, hopefully you recover soon on that. As I mentioned before, it's at least we get to hear the sexier, huskier part of you. So with your entrepreneurship journey so far, or what has been some of the most challenging moments that you faced and managed to overcome?
Well, I guess definitely there's so much we can talk about, right? Self-doubt, stuff like that. But if I were to put my finger at one area, I would guess the biggest area that I had to overcome was the financial responsibilities, right? And that being said, what I mean is, I don't come from a very well-to-do background, and everything from the little side business I started to do when I was young to becoming more ambitious and more aggressive, bigger plans, bigger financial commitments. And the thing that is always at the back of my head is, if I fail, right, who's going to pay my bills? Would I have a place to stay? Because more often than not, I think when you're going to business, there's always this fear of failure. I guess it's very common for everybody else. But in my case, I'm not saying that it's easier to start or build into a successful business if you come from a rich family. I'm not saying that it's easier, but what I'm saying is, on the flip side of things, if you come from a background which is not very well to do, you're going to depend on your own. there's no plan B, right? There's no, if all hell breaks loose, daddy and mommy will be there to, take care of the bills, and you still have a place to live and stuff. It's not the case for me. So I guess throughout the early days, that was a constant struggle, right? So there's always this fear of, if I screw up, I make a mistake, if I really like F things up big time, then what's going to happen? How am I going to feed myself tomorrow? So if I could say the biggest challenge, that would be it, right? But I guess at the same time, it's one of those things where it's pretty much like a double-edged sword. It's because that you knew in a way that it's a make or break situation, right? So that kind of spur you on to push the extra mile in a sense, right? But at the same time, I guess you got to constantly deal with the stress and pressure of, at the back of your head, you keep telling yourself, I can't fail, because if I fail, I'm screwed, I'm dead. You know, I can't borrow money from friends. There's nobody to loan me money or whatever. That's it. So it is kind of stressful situation, but at the same time, I guess when you are put in that position, it really kind of show you what you're really made of, right?
Mm.
So I guess that was that challenge, but factor that drove me on to just keep pushing and going on and on so far in the early years. So I would say that would be the number one criteria, or should I say, important factor, the most important factor.
Yeah. And how is it that you manage to keep pushing forward with that stress? What was that single thing that made you realize that, or made you help you manage through that stress?
Mm. To be honest, some people do sports. Some people, they maintain a healthy lifestyle, whatever it is that takes their mind off things. For me, if I were to be very honest, I have a very bad habit. You know, some of the closest friends to me will know is I'm kind of a drinker. I do enjoy my drinks. So once in a while, I'll just go loose. Like there's no tomorrow kind of things like that. But I guess I'm not saying it's a healthy habit. I don't encourage everybody to do that. But it's my little getaway. It's like my little getaway for the couple of hours, before I come back to reality. So, I mean, whatever that works for you, I don't really have, how do you deal with stress and things like that. As long as it works for you, it doesn't harm people, it doesn't do anything bad to society or whatever. Hey, you do you, you know.
Mm.
So that was my way of dealing with my situation back then, right? And I still deal with it from time to time. Why
Yeah.
not? As long as it's within your means, it's again, like I said, it's not doing anything bad to people. Do whatever that works for you. That's what I'm saying.
All right, all right. So I mean, through your journey, you've helped a lot of entrepreneurs along the way. You've invested in them. You've mentored them. What do you find are the biggest roadblocks that entrepreneurs face from actually being able to not only start in business but to eventually win in business?
Mm, that's an interesting question. I think if you ask me, there's plenty of factors to discuss when it comes to this topic, right? But maybe I speak from my own experience in the sense that you know I fell into the same trap because when I was first starting out, same thing. You're kind of a humble guy. You try to learn from everybody, but when your business start to grow and you start to make more money and stuff like that, there's always that human tendency of being complacent, and your ego takes over. I think ego is a very big killer in entrepreneurship. And back then, I couldn't really understand and figure out what went wrong. I thought I knew it all. And, being a young man and hey, I had earlier success. What possibly could go wrong in the future? That's what I thought. But then you come to a realization at some point that what got you here will not get you there. Because in the game of business and entrepreneurship, and again, this is my own perspective, because at every stage of a business, let's just say, whether you're managing a team of 5 people, you need to understand the rules to play that game, right? It's a very different game to play when you're managing a team of 50 people or 100 people. So I guess the point is at every stage of business, right? Depending on what are your overheads, what is your capacity, how's your operations looking like. And every stage of business requires you to go through a different set of challenges. Okay, and what I noticed is a lot of people approach business, and especially in days like this, thinking that whatever they have applied in the past is going to be the same as what is going to happen in the future. So I beg to differ. So I would say again, I mean, coming back to the question is what are the roadblocks, right? That most entrepreneurs face. I guess the answer would be self-awareness. Self-awareness in the context of thinking that they know everything, which it's not true. I mean, today if you ask me, Terence, hey, how do you manage a 1,000 people organization? My answer to you would be I don't know because I've not been in that capacity yet. In fact, if I want to play the game, I have to learn or find a mentor or learn from somebody who has that relevant experience, right? Before you even think about how you want to play the game on a bigger level. So the answer would be self-awareness, if it makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, it's so important to be self-aware and to be able to minimize our own personal blind spots, because our blind spots is what gets us in the end, and then we get sideswiped and be like, oh crap, I really needed to know that. And so previously you alluded that you're known within the organization as also being the numbers guy, right? You like to analyze into data, look into data. So what do you find are the numbers that entrepreneurs, organizations tend to neglect but are crucial for their success?
Numbers. No, I think the common numbers that every business owner should know, I believe they should know is number one, they should know their turnover, right? Number two, they should know their gross profit, and number three, they should know their net profit margin. I think these are the three basic numbers that any business owner should know and must know at the back of their hand. Because if they don't, then you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. But let's not talk about these three. I kind of find, after speaking to people, especially in the last few years, maybe 5 to 6 years, I guess the number, if you're asking me what do people really neglect, I would say is the cost of acquiring a customer, right? Your acquisition cost. How much does it cost you to acquire a customer? Because, I mean, you'll be very surprised that a lot of businesses these days have no idea what is that hidden number in their business. How much do they actually spend to acquire a customer? Yes, I know maybe other different business models work very differently from, let's say, an online business. I get it. But I guess in some sense, you have to understand that number, if not accurately, at least in an estimate area. Because if you're going to depend on, and let me share with you what is the problem with most retail businesses, right, where customers walk into the store and kind of thing. And the common trend in retail business is their sales is highly dependent on human traffic, right? I mean, if your shop is in a shopping mall, right, you depend on the kind of human traffic. If there's no human traffic, you're pretty much screwed, right? And when I talk to business owners who operate retail stores and retail outlets, most of the time they don't have a so-called marketing strategy. Right? They just depend on human traffic again. And the scary thing about that human traffic element is your sales are never predictable, right? You could probably maybe today's a good day. You can make $1,000, right? You can sell $1,000 worth of products, say for example, and then maybe for the next 3 days you can totally run dry and have zero sales. Who knows? So it's that kind of unpredictability that scares businesses, right? And that freaks me out a lot. But what I'm trying to say is, even if you're operating from a retail environment, right, you should, number one, I think again, not just depend on the shopping mall to bring you the traffic and things like that. You need to have your own strategy and your own advertising tactics to bring in the traffic for yourself, right? Whether is it just in the form of video, just branding or whatever. But you got to at some point of time stop relying on third party on factors that you can't control and start thinking about factors that you can control. And that ultimately leads you back to, if you can control that factor, right, then it ultimately leads you to question what would be the cost of you acquiring a customer, whether it being a lead, prospect, or whatever. But that is the magic number that a lot of people ignore these days, right? So that is the short version of my explanation.
All right. Yeah, and like Trader Rob says, too many brick and mortar stores are complacent with the traffic from the nearby anchor stores and keep their heads in the sand when it comes to digital marketing. It's it's kind of like set up and then just pray, so pray sort of thing. It's like, oh, okay, my job's done once the store is up. But it's really finding a way to smoothen out your cash flow to make sure you've got a consistent traffic coming in in various economic circumstances as well. Right. Awesome. Yeah. So we also have a question from Trader Rob. He asks, any recommendation for keeping an open door policy but not get taken advantage of? I think within the context of an organization and then also externally with potential partners. Perhaps you could share your thoughts on that.
I'm trying to get to the question because I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm trying to understand the question because it is quite a, how to say the context is huge.
Okay, let's tackle it from.
So give me an example, man.
Yeah, so let's tackle it from the standpoint of, hey, I'm open to helping, helping people. I think within the context of inside an organization, you have an open door policy. If your team comes up to you and asks for help, you willingly help. You go the extra mile. But when is going the extra mile too far, where it's to the point of being taken advantage of? So how do you maintain that?
This is quite an interesting question. I was just sharing with one of my mentees the other day. Now the thing is, I get it. Let me put it in this sense and see whether it makes some sense to you. One of the questions I get is people always ask me this: Are you afraid of teaching people everything you know in business? Right? Are you not afraid of them maybe even taking advantage, or maybe one day, whatever I teach them, whatever I mentor them, then they took whatever they learn and they come out and they compete with me in business. I guess that's something that I ask quite commonly. Now, the truth of it is, I'm not, right? And let me give you the very simple reason. It's the same reason as you go to school, right? You're in a classroom of 40 students, right? All of you, you're in a classroom, there's 40 of you, and there's one teacher, right? But at the end of the day, it's the same classroom, it's the same school, it's the same teacher, but at the end of the day, you get 40 different results, right? So my point is, if I were to so-called write a book, right, of like, let's call it Terence Business Insider Secrets or whatever, right? And if I'm going to give to 10 different people, and 10 different people are going to take and apply, you're going to get 10 different results. So my point is, to me, I don't find that there's no way to control how people reciprocate my kindness. I mean, if I think that far, then I probably won't do anything in life, let alone business. But what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, whether people choose to copy my ideas or whatever is beyond my control, right? But if they choose to compete against me, right, using what I teach and learn them, you can be almost guaranteed sure that I'm going to come back with a bigger hammer. So if you want to pick a fight with me, you got to prepare to go to the fight. You got to prepare to go throughout the whole entire fight with me, because that's the kind of person I am. But in terms of what I know and what I can share with people, I guess I naturally don't hold back, right? So again, Rob, great question. Thanks for asking that. But I really don't think there's any. Let's put it this way: even Jesus also got taken advantage of, and I'm only human.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really don't think there's any way anybody can prevent that from happening. But that being said, I really also believe that should not stop you from doing what you love. I mean, if you love teaching people and sharing with people, go ahead. not because of potentially what could happen in the future. Things that you cannot control, don't let that stop you from your happiness. So again, I mean, if it makes you happy sharing with people your knowledge or experience, then go ahead and do it. If it doesn't give you that kind of happiness and satisfaction, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, and so what I'm getting is that be willing to teach, be willing to share, and then at the same time, when you're in business, it is naturally a competitive environment. You have to be prepared to take the gloves off, fight it, endure it, persevere, innovate, and just see may the best person win in the ring. Really, isn't it?
In a way. And I always tell people competition is a good thing, right? Competition is what keeps us on our toes. If there's no competition, you might think that, hey, I'm monopolizing the whole market, I'm number one. But I mean, from my experience, I hate to be number one. Number one is a very lonely place. Sometimes it's better to be a number two or number three, because at least when you're number two and number three, you have a goal, right? It's to take down the number one guy or to beat the number one guy. But sometimes when you're at number one, you start to wonder and question, like, shit, man, what's next? Where do I go from here? And being in the number one environment sometimes is so risky and dangerous because let me put an example like Nokia, right? They are the guys who at one point of time, I think in the early 2000s, Nokia was pretty much dominating the whole mobile market, right? And again, same thing. It's pure complacency that Nokia got wiped away from the whole entire market because they were number one and they thought they had it all. Until little did our friend Mr. Steve came in and gave him a kick in the ass. And so number one sometimes might not necessarily be a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this is a recurring theme in what you've shared, is that complacency kills, right? And
Yeah.
I believe it was one of the lessons that you mentioned throughout your entrepreneurship journey. When you've attained a certain level of success, it's very easy to get comfortable, rest on your laurels, and before you know it, either the economic environment changes, or new competition comes up, and then you're caught off guard, and then that's it. It's a slap, and then you've got to wake up and buckle up, right?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you usually recommend when organizations are at the point where they feel that they are stagnant? Let's say they have a team of 10, and then they want to scale up to the next level. What do organizations like that need to have in place to scale up effectively, or in general?
Well, I guess is a fair question. What do businesses have to do to scale? But I will question back the owner of the business in the sense of why are you scaling the business first? I think they have to be very honest and answer the question. If it's because of scaling the business because of pure profits, then again, how do they determine profits? Because this word scaling, I've been saying this so many times. You probably heard me say this before. This word scaling, in my opinion, again, it's in my own opinion, is so misunderstood because there's a huge difference between scaling a business and growing a business. Now, in that aspect and in that sense, scaling a business means same input but more output, right? That's what scaling really means, right? Growing a business basically is more output and more input and more output. No wrong, no right. But I guess in this area, it's very misunderstood. But again, Ching Yu, to answer the question, what do organizations or businesses have to do in order to scale effectively? It really kind of depends on what kind of business model, what kind of business you're talking about here. Now, say if you are in the business of making burgers, right? So your business highly depend on how many burgers you can produce in a day or in an hour, in 1 minute, right? So obviously the logical way to do it is to have a factory, whatever, a chain running, so that you don't have to hire so many workers, right? Because more manpower, more input, that's not really cost scaling, right? If you're in an online business, that will require you to have a very strong, proven, effective funnel, right? So I will say when I think about the word scaling, it kind of depends on what businesses you are already in, because not all businesses I really don't think not all business model is prime for scaling, right? But that's just again my own opinion.
Yeah. So definitely, entrepreneurs, business owners have to ask themselves what's the end goal that they want? Why do they want to scale? And then, and in the first place, is it practical with their current business model to scale anyway? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so you're also very big into marketing, right? So when it comes to branding and aesthetics, how important it is it really in the business? Is it like at the very top for you?
Mm, again, it kind of depends on what kind of business are we talking about here, isn't it? Now, I mean, the Korea example, you guys are in Malaysia, right? Malaysia is known for fantastic food, right? Food stall and stuff like that. Then again, if you're in the food business, uh, what kind of customers are you attracting? Because I'm pretty sure you are fully aware that in Malaysia there are some food stores which are pretty run down. Maybe to some sense people say that they're even unhygienic places to eat at. But then again, you see these crazy ass long queues. It's always packed with customers every single day, right? So when we talk about aesthetics, are they aesthetically nice? I wouldn't say so. But in terms of branding, I guess the word what does the brand mean? What does the word branding mean to their business? I guess that to that kind of business, it's not about uh, what is the color tone, what is the color Pantone. They don't really care about what's the color, what is your logo. They don't really bother about this kind of thing. But I guess in a sense, to them, brand means the word of mouth, right? Then again, on the other side of things, I mean, if you are in the business of running, let's say you're selling furniture, and I always like to use IKEA as an example, right? IKEA is all about giving you that sense of warmth, giving you that sense of security, comfort. Yes, then in that sense, aesthetically, you have to look prime, right? You have to look like, you don't want people to walk into an IKEA store or in one of their outlets and feel that, this is not very nice or the carpets are dirty or whatever it is. So I guess it kind of really, again, depends on what kind of businesses you are really in. What are the factors that really drive your consumers word of mouth, or what are the what is the basis of your business? What is the core of the product or the service, right? And if the core of the product or service is not really highly driven based on what people see, then don't bother too much about brand and aesthetics at the very beginning. Just focus on the quality of the product. That's it, right?
Yeah. Quality of the product, and at the end of the day, is all about are you able to deliver to the market that you want to deliver to? And so, a big part of a business is all about communicating with the market, right? And with the prevalence of social media, copywriting is very important right now. How is it that we can write persuasively to our markets? So you are also very into to words. You write a lot of copy. Uh, what does it take to write persuasive copy?
Mm, could be quite a long answer to give, but I think the short, sweet answer at the top of my range would be just write to, I call it H to H, human to human, right? Just write to somebody who is a human. Don't write to somebody as though, at the end of the day, when you're writing an email, just remember that on the other side of the person reading your email is a human. And that being said, just imagine you trying to write an email to a friend, right? Now, I'm not trying to say you got to be. I'm not trying to say in terms of grammar you have to be. It's not important to be sloppy in terms of your grammar, punctuation and stuff like that. But more often than not, you'll be surprised. I notice a lot of people like to write copies with very bombastic meanings, and and I guess you got to be a bit sensitive in terms of who you're writing to, in terms of culture. Like, I'm from Singapore and we have a certain way of speaking English, right? And to the rest of the foreign world, they might be wondering, what the hell are we talking about? But I'm not trying to say you have to write to the lingo, but bearing in mind that, again, you see, here's an interesting thing I always share with people. in Singapore and Malaysia, we are very similar, right? Yes, English is our first language, but at the same time, I think some of us are pretty well versed in like, other languages. So if you could put it in another perspective to say, we are well educated in English, but if you are going to throw me an email, which I'm looking at the email and it's written like as if Shakespeare is trying to write me an email, and I'll get extremely turned off. Because for me, the human brain is lazy, right? And as a matter of fact, most people are. And I can only imagine after a long day's work and you receive an email, and especially if it's a promo email, and you are bogged down by so many terminologies and terms like that, and that kind of turns people off. And that's a killer in most emails, I would say. So, if I could just give one quick tip in terms of writing email campaigns, is just imagine that you are just writing to a human and treat that human as though he or she is a friend, right? I mean, if you're going to write an email to your friend, you don't slam them with bombastic meanings and bombastic. There's no point in making yourself sound smart. It's quite pointless because your objective is not trying to make yourself sound smart. Your objective is trying to get them to click that bloody link that you have in your email to somewhere else. So stay focused, remain on that objective, and just focus on that, right?
Yep. Focusing on them, human to human connection, and it's interesting that you say human to human. Nowadays we have the rise of AI copywriters. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. I mean, yes, there are. I realize that there's this growth in terms of AI softwares these days that I've seen those ads before myself. In fact, I even went to subscribe myself and just try to get my hands on it and try to understand how AI is that really AI. And I guess in the way I played out myself, it still feels very weird to me. It still feels that whatever the AI content is producing for me, yes, I mean the whole idea of the AI is supposed to, take your hands off the time to write an email copy or whatever it is, right? But when I'm reading what the AI produced for me, it still sounds very weird. It sounds like I'm reading a corporate brochure, right? It sounds like I'm reading a pure hardcore advertisement. And again, mind you not, I mean, people hate to be sold. That's something that we all know. Marketers, we know that very well. And I don't know about the future. Maybe in the next couple of years, things can improve. I'm not too sure, right? But as of now, I still feel that it's quite foreign to me, right? I don't get that connection from reading a AI scripted copy. So if you're asking me, is it for me now? I don't think I do it because it lacks that human touch. But who knows in the future? You never know.
Yeah,
Right.
very interesting. Yeah, so to at least at this stage, we still have that human advantage. But AI is definitely closing the gap eventually. We'll see in the next couple of years.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. So we've got a question by Rob. He's asking, what recommendations do you have as he develops his chain of command with managers and lower level associates to maintain a productive mindset and not appear as a dictator, but still get results?
Okay. Uh, I don't know about the results part because, well, to me, there's no hard and fast rule, right? But maybe just from my own experience, it kind of relates to the one question that people always ask me is when you're starting a business for the first time, when you're small scale, do you micromanage? I get that question a lot. And my answer to them is yes. Actually, I micromanage a lot, especially when the team is very small. And yeah, there's another thing that, hey, if you're going to micromanage, how are you going to grow the business? True. But at the very beginning, if you're a team of 5, 6 people, and I always tell people this, if you can't manage a team of 5, how are you thinking, how are you going to expect to manage a team of 50 or maybe 100 someday down the road? It's a progressive step of, building up your, whatever you call it, leadership skills, managerial skills and stuff like that. And I always be very upfront with people. I micromanage like shit from the very beginning, from the get-go. And there's only one reason why I do that, because it's my business. Your employees are not going to care about your business as much as you. Straight up, 100%. Or they might appear to seem they care, but nobody is going to care about it more than you do. And I guess the question backs to, so how is it going to be like? Are you going to micromanage forever? Then how are you going to grow the business? Are you always going to be in the business, or you should be working on the business? But I guess it's again, it's a very progressive phase, right? I micromanage to the point where I feel that maybe Tom or Harry, when he's proves to me that he can manage it without me breathing down his neck every day, then that's where I slowly let go a little bit by a little bit, a little bit. Trust is not given instantly. Trust is earned over a period of time. I guess the same thing is with the employer-employee relationship, right? But again, if you're saying from the get-go, I'm breathing down their necks every single day because I know I care about the business more than them. It's my money, it's my business, it's my reputation, whatever, whatnot, right? So developing the chain of command with managers and lower level associates. I guess the question is, if I were to ask, so how many managers are there? How many lower level associates are there? Because quite frankly, right, even the most capable business owner, it's impossible for you to talk to 100 people or 150 people and micromanage their progress or their work every day. Even if you want to, even if you go without sleep, it's just not possible to micromanage like 100, 200 people, right? So can't really give a definite recommendations on how to do that, but I'm just sharing with you my perspective of myself, what I did in the past, starting with a small team is, yes, I press very hard, I micromanage every single detail of their work, right?
Okay.
And the truth also is, yes, they saw me as a dictator and they saw me as an asshole. Fine. I'm okay being an asshole. It does not bother me being an asshole. I think if you want to go into business and you want to be the good guy, maybe you should. I'm not targeting this to Ron, I'm just saying in general. And I guess people should really evaluate why they are in business in the first place. Because they want to be seen as the good guy, then get out of it. Because usually you're the asshole. even if even if your guys or employees are, oh no, boss, we love you and that kind of thing. But I trust, kid you not, most of the time they'll be saying shit behind our backs. And it's something that we have to accept and deal with as owners, business owners, or whatever, right? It's fine because you're there to make the business grow. You're there to build the business. You're not there to feed your ego, right? So, well, Rob, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and definitely, when in business, it's all about being able to focus on the results and profitable results. So, and you've got to keep people accountable along the way, and some people just can't handle the accountability, and that they'll just moan in the background, right?
Right.
Okay, so you're at the stage where you're actively investing into potential startups. You're mentoring new founders. So what do you look out for before deciding to invest in the business? It could be investing your time or investing your money. What do you look out for?
Well, I mean, it's very common. Everybody will say business model. Of course, you got to, depending on what kind of business, right? I mean, if it's something illegal, something is gonna shit on a lot of people. No, definitely, I don't do that kind of stuff. So, business model aside, I guess the only two things I look for, which is very very hard to determine, to be honest, right? The first one is easier, which is essentially I like to call it the founder product market fit. In essence, is I'm trying to find out how much does the founder actually know about the business, right? Because the funny thing is, and I don't really blame this trend because in this stage in time, what I realize is a lot of people have crazy ideas, especially in the last 2 years, maybe because of how the crypto world is evolving and stuff like that. And with these ideas, with these crazy ideas that are springing up every day, the only thing that I have in mind is how well do they actually know the business inside out. Maybe they don't have to know inside out, but maybe they at least have to understand how the business works. Maybe they need to have certain contacts in the industry. So my point is, I want to see does that founder really have any hardcore relevant experience to the business that he's in, right? Now, putting in simple terms, I'm not trying to say that you must be a good chef order to run a restaurant business, right? But if you're not a good chef, you at least need to be maybe a good operation manager, right? Of managing wait staff, things like that, right? But if you have none of it and thinking that you can just jump into a restaurant business because you know something called a P&L, then you're in trouble, you know. So you don't have to be perfect in that area, but you need to have a certain set of relevant experience. So that's the first thing I'm always looking for, right? Now, put valuation of the business aside. I guess the next tricky part would be always the founder's integrity. And I find that to be the toughest. I mean, if you ask anybody who invested there's far so many angel investors with more vast experience than me before. But if you talk to those guys, they will tell you that one of the toughest things is to really evaluate the founder's integrity, right? And I share with you a joke. I won't mention names in this case, but let's just say today is $1 billion valuation company. No joke. Cross my heart. So these guys approached my friend, and this was years ago, right? Asking for quite a humble sum of money to be one of the first investors. And my friend did not go in at all. He didn't believe in the founders, right? And I won't go into details why he did not believe in the founders, but I guess it's a lot to do with their drive, their passion, whatever, stuff like that. And because he didn't believe in them, right? Today, the whole entire company is worth $1 billion. Right? I don't think I can share with you over a live channel like that, but if you ask me in private, you're wondering what company is that, I'll share you the next time. Sorry, guys, can't do this live. But so and the lesson here is that integrity of founders is so hard to because effectively you're talking to a stranger. I mean, it's so much easier if you're investing in somebody you've known for years, right? At least you know their dirty little secrets and stuff like that, right? Or whether they are what they mean, they say they're real and all the BS and stuff like that. But if you're talking about investing in a stranger, I guess that's where it becomes a bit tricky. So that part would be the toughest, I would say. But that being said, being the toughest, that are the two also the most important factors that I look for, right?
Yeah. So a lot of due diligence and verification and finding ways to actually verify it all is very important.
In a way.
So Trader Rob, follows up with a question. He says he's always asking his mentors, what value does have for a person with so much experience already? Do you still get those aha moments? Can you share your last one? So what was your last aha moment? For as someone with such a vast experience.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't. I mean, thanks. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself with vast experience. I like to think that I'm just at the beginning of the mountain. But then again, guys, I mean, I'm not that ambitious to say that, guys, one day I want to run $1 billion company and stuff like that. I don't think I want to be in that capacity for personal reasons, right? Because $1 billion corporation requires you to have billion sacrifices. I really don't think I don't want to be Elon Musk. That's what I'm saying. But so yeah, still learning, definitely. I mean, you ask me, you ask John, Pierce, Ching Yu, Simon, we are still always on the learning phase, the constant quest for knowledge, so to speak. And sometimes for some reasons, it's not always for that big jump, like, from here to there. Sometimes it's the little ideas and the through those conversations that you have with people that give you that little spark and that little idea to give you like, oh, okay, maybe I could have looked at this way. So I wouldn't say aha moments also, because aha moments to me, it is very personal, right? Because my aha moment could, to you, like, call that aha moment, crap, stuff like that. But if I could relate something, I can't think of a specific like aha moment, right, over the last couple of years. But what I will notice over the last couple of years is, and I guess it comes with experience and maturity in businesses, where people always have this saying, the older you get, your vision becomes blurrer, right? I mean, human nature. But somehow or other, right, when it comes to business and it comes to people, you start to see things a bit clearer, if it makes sense at all, right? Maybe you start to pick up bullshit a bit quicker, as compared to when you're in your 20s or whatever whatnot. So I won't say any aha moment, but it's more of a, you start to see things a bit clearer, right? And definitely with any business owner at different stages of your business, you become more experienced, but more experienced in terms of what? More experienced in terms of spotting potential pitfalls. Right? I guess that's one of the, well, I wouldn't say something that really helped me as an entrepreneur, but you tend to be a bit more, I wouldn't say cautious, but you kind of knew how to evaluate risk and rewards better as compared to the past. Because I always share with people when I was much younger, I was always known to be more curious and cautious. Well, that kind of screwed me up. I made so much mistakes in the past, but I guess those mistakes served me. I wouldn't say entirely well later. I mean, kind of served me better, but you learn along the way where you kind of figure out how, and in terms of how to evaluate certain risks and rewards. Because business opportunities, they're everywhere, right? And everybody's talking about, oh, NFT is the next big thing, this is the next big thing, da 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 da, stuff like that. But when I wouldn't say I've seen it all, but when you've seen enough, you kind of know when to take a step back and not jump into the pool with everybody else and get slaughtered, stuff like that. So yeah, Rob, if it makes any sense, I can't really think of that aha moment, but it's more of it's over a period of time. Right? It just makes you a little bit wiser, stuff like that.
Yeah. Definitely with the years of experience, you gain more clarity in your direction. Your BS detector also gets more sensitive and say, okay, I've seen this pattern before. I think essentially that's what makes us human, right? We need a certain period of time to be able to start picking up patterns. Otherwise, during our younger years, it's like, okay, like people can BS and we are like, oh, okay, and then only gonna smack. So we also talked about entrepreneurship, right? Encouraging entrepreneurship within an organization. Uh, do you believe in the whole concept of entrepreneurship? Should organizations encourage the mindset of entrepreneurship internally?
I wouldn't say that I encourage. Neither would I say that I discourage. Right. And if I were to be, completely honest with you, is you see, for me, my doors are open. Matter of fact, I don't go into I don't go into the past of me. I don't go into the office every day and go around, hey, who wants to be a business owner? Come. I don't do that kind of stuff. Right. But I also do not stop my colleagues if they want to, if they had a plan and thoughts of becoming their own boss someday. And my approach has always been, okay, fine, you want to be your own boss someday, good. If your daddy and your mommy have $1 million to back you up, good. Go ahead, nobody's going to stop you. But if you're not in that capacity, right, then maybe I can offer some assistance, right? But my help comes with conditions. I'm not Gandhi or Mother Teresa. I'm not out there to save the world. I got to be very frank, man. I mean, it's who am I to say that I want to go around saving the world, right? Not Iron Man. But look, if I see a potential in someone, I'm pretty open. That's first of all. But he or she have to really prove to me that he or she wants it. They really have to prove to me they want it as bad as I would want it in the past. Right? Because talk is cheap. Right. So I wouldn't say it's something that I encourage or discourage. It's not on my agenda when I go to the office every day. But if I spot a potential, if potential in someone, if I see an opportunity, I'm always, why compete where we can work together? I guess that is the main difference, right? Unless you see there's a better reason to come and compete against me. If you think that it's more fun to come and fight me, go ahead. But if you think that maybe by working with me, we can do so much more, then I'm pretty open to that, right? So again, this is no wrong or right answer in this case. It's just what it is.
Yeah. And so through your experience, do you think everybody has what it takes to be an entrepreneur?
Everybody?
Yeah. Do you think everybody has what it takes?
Oh, fuck no, man. Sorry for my French, but I think because when you mention the word everybody, oh god, I think a lot of people, I think too many people really underestimate un, underestimate how hard is it to be an entrepreneur, let alone a business person or a businessman. It is probably one of the toughest things I ever had to go through in life, and I'm still in this game, you know. And like I said, I mean, I kind of knew where my limits are, and that's why I mean, it sounds very fake, right? If today you say, hey, Terence, I give you $1 billion, but you don't have to lift a finger, say, hey, sure, why not? Everybody wants more money, ma. But if you say, hey, to be a billionaire, then you have to do a million more things. Do I really want to put myself in that shoes, and to sacrifice other things that matter to me in life? No, I don't. So I guess it comes to a point that you have to choose. But again, I really don't think everybody, if the question is everybody can be an entrepreneur. No, I really don't think so. I think entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs, I think he coded the best, right? I mean, codes are anybody can code, but execution is a different subject altogether. But yeah, I mean, he said it the best, right? I think entrepreneurs somehow or other we are just I don't know, you know. It is strange. Sometimes I'm still asking myself. Yes, I mean, I knew back then when I was young why I wanted to go into business, but the funny thing is, the older I get, I'm asking myself, why do I put myself through all this shit day in day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly a easy life. When people talk about being entrepreneur, they imagine us wearing tuxedos, carrying awards and all that shit, but they don't see the shitty part that goes into the sacrifice, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I blame the social media for that, because that's what social media is all about. You see the nice stuff, but you don't really see the ugly side of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
People think that entrepreneurship is sexy, but it really takes, I suppose, a certain level of masochistic characteristic to be able to take that kind of punishment through this journey, right? So so we'll just go with one last question from our comment section. So, Trader Rob asks, any advice to help people struggling with rambling and delivering their message? He's always trying to elaborate to be better understood and feel like he uh, makes it worse.
Mm, well, I guess a few things I can say. What I've noticed over the last, again, maybe more than 2 years. This is even before COVID, right? This is 5, 6, 7 years, uh, where social media really exploded under the scene, right? I've seen a lot of. Okay, let me just put it plain bluntly out there. I see a lot of wannabes, right? People pretending to be somebody else on social media, right? Oh, Gary V is very cool, so I'm gonna stop like Gary V. I'm gonna F this and F everything, stuff like that. uh, my point is, I guess to some certain extent, you have to come to it's something that you have to be comfortable with yourself, right? I'm not asking you to be an asshole. I mean, if you're an asshole, then you gotta fix that, right? Don't be an asshole. But some people are trying to project that so-called asshole, badass image and all the kind of thing, but it just doesn't work. Well, I'm just telling people, just be yourself. I'm just saying that if you're an asshole yourself, then you gotta work on that stuff. Now, I am not a professional speaker, right? Clearly, you can tell. Right? I don't have. I go with the flow. That's my style. But if you are struggling on, getting people to understand what you're sharing, what you're speaking, then I guess the only way to improve is to gather feedback. But the question again is, are you prepared to hear the feedback? Do you want to be sugar coated, or do you want the hardcore truth in your face? And I'm not just saying this question based on what Rob was. I guess a lot of people can't deal with the truth, and this is a fact. Not only on whether you're speaking, delivering a message, the ramifications and stuff like that. I guess in this time and age, people just can't deal with the fact. They can't deal with the truth. So I guess the only question is whether is it improving, getting your message across, improving yourself as a person, as a business owner, as a speaker, building a business, whatnot. I will only say that the question is, are you prepared to hear the truth? That's it, and use that as a constructive weapon instead of I'm being personally attacked and stuff like that. Because that's what a lot of people do these days, and that's why, true of the matter, that's why a lot of people find it very hard to grow in terms of their personal growth, their mindset growth, whatever growth you call it. That's what stops people from moving forward, right? I have this very strong belief, and that belief is if you want to grow, right, you have to go through a certain level of pain and suffering. It's like you want to build muscles, right? You want to build muscles, you have to hit the gym, babe. You know what I mean? And it comes with that pain and that sacrifice. There's no, well, free lunch, if you call it in the world. You have to go through that series of pain and suffering. It might sound very extreme, but whatever pain or suffering means to you, but you got to go through shit to understand that life is not that easy. And maybe in that sense, it makes you appreciate what you have a little bit more, right? Because these days it's common to just bitch on social media and say, no, life's not fair, whatever. But at least you still have a computer to bitch, bitch to, I mean, if you really look around, and I mean, Ching, I mean, we are pretty blessed. We are in Singapore and Malaysia. We consider ourselves very lucky. We are very blessed. But again, let me not rant on, but when I look around the world and see what's really happening and say, shit, man, who are we to really even bitch about life, so to speak? Right. Okay, I know I'm really drifting too far apart, but so yes, short sweet answer is listen to people's feedback and take their feedback seriously.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and thank you very much, for sharing with us throughout this session. And Trader Rob, back on your point on entrepreneurship. Yeah, from the movie of Ratatouille, not everybody can be a chef, but a chef can come from anywhere.
Right, deep stuff. I never thought of that before.
Yeah, and of course, Trader Rob, thanks you for sharing. This hour has been seeds of transformation. And of course, if you're interested in learning more from Terence, or you would like to engage in Terence, perhaps in one of your events or your organizations, feel free to reach out to Speakers Live at summitspeakerbureau.com. I repeat, it's SpeakersLive at summitspeakerbureau.com. Just type in the subject line Terence Yao, and then we'll get back to you on seeing how we could potentially collaborate together. And also, just to share with all of you, our parent company Summit will be launching a brand new learning platform this coming Saturday. So if you happen to be watching this stream just in time, do join us at www.summitasia.com/launch. It'll be happening on April 9th, 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. GMT +8. We've got an amazing lineup, including the father of digital marketing, Mark Joyner. We have a master of video marketing and production, Ken Okazaki. We've got Antonio White, whom some of you may have previously saw. He's successfully created $750 million in liquidity events and exiting businesses. So definitely an event to check out. Again, the website is www.summitasia.com/launch. So do check it out. And once again, thank you very much, Terence, for sharing with us your seeds of wisdom and transformation throughout this hour. And hope to see you soon in Malaysia, man.
See you soon. Me too. Hope so.
All right. All the best. And thank you, everybody who is joining us live and watching on this replay. We are the Summit Speaker Bureau. We have Speakers Live running every Thursday at 9 p.m. or at the very least, it will be every Thursday sometime in the day. So thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you next time. Bye
See you
for now.
guys. Bye.